Percussion, the heart and soul that drives all bands together. Percussion is what keeps the band going. It provides the beat, it provides the groove, it provides everything that the wind instruments need in order to stay on track. Percussion is one of the mixture of both easy and difficult in terms of difficulty because it depends on what it is that you're starting out on for percussion. For me, it was a little bit of everything. I started doing percussion when I was in middle school for just for 1 year. It was during the after school percussion ensemble. It was an extracurricular activity. It wasn't a class. Um, and then I was primarily focusing for marching band in winds in high school. It wasn't until the second half of my sophomore year that I got back into percussion to learn a much more diverse and derivative aspect of it. And then ever since college, it's just been something that I've been having to do on the side so that way I won't have to lose track of it as I move forward into the future. Right behind me, I have a setup of several drumsticks that people would either A, may consider using, or B, are required between the schools and universities. In order to achieve practicing percussion in drums specifically, you're going to need one of these. It's known as a practice pad. This can go either on a stand or on top of a drum for so long as it is played on this. It can provide a nice, quiet sound while you're practicing. And this practice pad is traversal. So this one has two sides. A soft padded side, which is provides the quietness, and then a harder surface, which provides a little more bounce, and B, a little more sound. You can hear just the quality as I'm knocking on it. This side is mainly more known to be used for marching bands, while the softer side is known to be used for concert bands. With drumsticks, there are many varieties. These sticks, for example, are 5/8 drumsticks. As you can see, these have a little bit of color to it. These were actually the first drumsticks I got in middle school. I actually drew on them because I was a child and I didn't know how to take care of drumsticks at the time. But these are known to be the universal drumsticks for all bands. Why? Because the 5/8s are more or less, let's say, like the 6.5 AL mouthpieces for trombone, or the M182s for marimba, and lather, rinse, and repeat. It's the easiest, most accessible, and universal drumstick that can provide a sound throughout all genres. These are 7/8s. These are much similar to the 5/8s, except if you look closely, the only difference is this white nylon tip. As you can see with the 5/8s, there is no tip, well, no plastic tip, and then the 7/8s have the plastic tip. The reason why that these have plastic tips is because they are meant to be used more for jazz bands. The 7/8s provide a much lighter sound when they're being played on the drums. Not only that, it provides a much lighter bounce, and it makes it move a little bit faster to traverse between drum sets within jazz, making it much more smooth and lighter as it usually is. The predecessor to the 5As are the 5Bs. These actually, well, they had glitter wrappings on them. I purchased these during my Bands of America competition in Atlanta in 2013. As you can see, that the tips are actually differently shaped than they are on the 5As. With the 5As, you can see that the tip is more rounded, and then the 5B tips are actually more pointed. It's almost as if it was almost like a bullet. The 5Bs are meant to be used significantly in pop and rock bands. You can see, you'll be able to notice that a lot of people will use either these sticks or 5As with in bands like that, as well as specific electric drum sets. Not to say that these aren't universal for all electric drum sets, but there is a moment where it provides as much more comfort than others, as well as a much more hard hitting standard for when it comes to music. And then we have the marching band drumsticks. These sticks are meant to be used for marching bands. You can tell because they will always have electrical tape wrapping for rim shots. The first ones are the FS11Ms from Innovative Percussion. These were meant for marching bands in high school. I'm not certain as they are used for colleges. These were given to me as a gift from the indoor percussion director during my time in indoor percussion. I was planning on auditioning for snare drum, but it never really worked out, so he had me placed in pit, which is the front ensemble of all marching bands. These sticks provide a universal sound, much similar to the 5As. You can see that between the two tips, despite them being a larger size, they are similarly rounded. With innovative percussion drumsticks, such as the FS-M's, or in other cases, the FSBK2s. These drumsticks are meant to be used on a marching snare drum. The way you can tell the difference between a marching snare drum and a concert snare drum is both the material that they're made in and the sizes. Usually the concert snare drums are about 2 inches in depth, where the marching snare drums are almost a foot in depth, and the material of the snare heads are much more different. Concert snares are often meant for are often made for philharmonics with the material. It's almost like a cow, a cow-like thickness to it, almost as if you were kind of like how the bows on violins and cellos use horse string. It's a much similar material for concert snare drums. Marching snare drums have a much harder material that provides that extra bounce. It is unknown to me what that material is, but it is a lot rougher than a common concert snare drum. And the way that the snare is, um, the concert snares actually use beads on the bottom of the drum itself, that can go ahead and, excuse me, provide the resonance within a concert. And the marching snare drum has different strings. It's almost like a rubber-like material. But it's not metal either, like the beads in a concert snare drum. That's what gives it a much, how do I say, a much lower depth in sound. The last pair of snare drumsticks that I have are DC-17 from System Blue. They are these drumsticks were profoundly used in drum corps. I bought these pairs just to try them out. As you can see, that they are also rounded, much like the FSMMs and the BK2s. These actually have the thickest of the rounded tips out of my entire drumstick sets. That is because in drum corps they have to be forceful to give off the emotion that is presented within their music. In terms of mallets, when it comes to marimbas, xylophones, and such. Unfortunately, I don't have those on my person. I have never purchased any of those before. Usually, I always turn to the school and rented them out. But usually, when marimbas and xylophones, they usually have mallets that are in this as a little bit shorter, if not a little bit longer, than the drumsticks. The two differences is that the stick itself is actually very, very thin. If you wish to compare it, I would say it is remarkably about the length, about the diameter of this charger right here. And then the tip is, my apologies, the tip of all mallets. For xylophone mallets, the tips are often made of either a marble or rubber or semi-soft rubber or plastic material that gives it the nice loud ring within the xylophone. For vibraphones and marimbas, there are models such as M181s or M182s that are meant specifically for those instruments. The stick is the same. For the tips, they are made of the semi-soft material on the inside and then wrapped with yarn on the outside to cushion the semi-soft ball tips within the mallets, and that's how it gives it the beautiful resonance within either the 2-octave or 3-octave marimbas or the vibrant sound of a vibraphone that it gives off. And usually, those sticks are universal between both concert and marching bands, depending on what the pieces call for.